Psalm 27 is a bold statement of faith and assurance in God's nearness, strength, and shelter. It reminds us that regardless of the challenges we face, the Lord remains our light and our salvation. Each morning, as you rise, do you begin with fear or with faith? When your eyes open, do you see the stress of yesterday or the fresh mercies of God awaiting you today? The first few moments after waking shape the rhythm of your day. And Psalm 27 calls you to begin with trust, not terror, with bravery, not confusion. The psalmist declares, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" With that statement, every shadow of doubt is driven away. Light pierces through darkness. Salvation extinguishes despair. Strength triumphs over frailty. This is the truth that Psalm 27 declares. Before the pressures of life come rushing in, before the enemy plants his lies, before the chaos of the world seeks to disturb your peace, this psalm elevates your spirit to higher ground. It urges you to lift your eyes and remember who your God is. He is not a far-off spectator. He is your shield. He is not just an occasional rescuer. He is your everlasting stronghold. David, the author of this psalm, understood what it meant to be hunted by enemies, to encounter overwhelming odds, and to endure rejection and isolation. Still, his trust in God remained unwavering. He didn't say the Lord could be my salvation, or maybe he is my He spoke with conviction. The Lord is my light and my salvation. That is the courage of faith. That is the unwavering confidence that can transform your mornings, your days, and your entire life. So when you rise, before your feet even hit the ground, let Psalm 27 be the first thing you speak. Let it be the banner that covers your day. Rather than beginning the day in anxiety, begin with adoration. Instead of fearing the unknown, proclaim the truth. The Lord is the fortress of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? The world may tremble, but God's word remains unshakable. Let your first thought each morning be not about trouble, but about victory. Because if God is your light, your salvation, and your refuge, whom then shall you fear? The world is overflowing with uncertainty, but Psalm 27 offers us a firm foundation. Each morning we awaken to a world that feels more unstable than the day before. The headlines are filled with conflict, economies fluctuate, relationships are strained, and personal struggles seem to have no end. We never know what each day might bring. An unexpected setback, a hard conversation, or a challenge we don't feel equipped to handle. Yet Psalm 27 grounds us in something far more secure than the shifting realities of life. It points us toward the rock-bound foundation of God's presence and his unchanging promises. David proclaims, "The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid?" A stronghold is a secure refuge, a place of defense that cannot be easily overtaken. In ancient times, cities built strongholds to guard against invading forces. But David's confidence wasn't in stone walls. It was in the living, faithful God. And that very same God remains our shelter today. When the world around us feels chaotic and unpredictable, God does not change. He isn't surprised by our circumstances. He doesn't worry when we face hardships. He is steady, constant, and in control of all things. That's what makes beginning your day with Psalm 27 so impactful. It centers your heart on the one who never failed. Picture walking into your day with that kind of assurance. While others are overwhelmed by fear, you stand rooted in faith. While the world is uneasy, you carry peace. You are not governed by the news, by tomorrow's unknowns, or by the fears that try to weigh down your heart. You have a refuge, a fortress that cannot be shaken, and that fortress is the Lord Himself. So before you scroll through the headlines or let anxious thoughts speak, tune your heart to the voice of truth. Speak Psalm 27 over your life. Stand strong in the calm of God's presence, because when He is your refuge, no storm can move you, no hardship can shake you, and no uncertainty can steal your peace. Fear steals, but faith secures. Each day, fear tries to sneak into our minds. Fear of what's ahead, fear of falling short, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. It creeps in during the stillness, whispering doubt before the day even begins. But Psalm 27 gives us a spiritual weapon to fight back. It reminds us that fear loses its grip where faith in God holds firm. David boldly asked, "Whom shall I fear? Of whom shall I be afraid?" These were not the words of a man living without hardship. David faced real threats, real battles, and real danger. Yet he chose not to let fear take hold of his life. Why? Because he understood that the presence of God was far more powerful than any enemy he could face. His assurance didn't come from his own strength, but from the unshakable might of the Lord. Fear robs you of your peace, your joy, and your calling. It paralyzes your steps, causing you to hesitate when God is urging you to move forward. It turns small concerns into giants and magnifies the problem instead of exalting the God who is greater than it all. But faith builds a wall of protection around your heart. When you rise each morning and choose to declare Psalm 27, you're making a powerful choice. Today I will not live in fear. I will walk in faith. I will trust in the law, my refuge and my salvation. Consider how differently your day might unfold if instead of giving fear a voice, you allowed faith to speak first. What if instead of expecting the worst, you proclaim that God is in control? What if instead of retreating from the fight, you stepped into it, confident that the Lord goes before you? That is the power of Psalm 27. It shifts your vision from the enormity of your fear to the greatness of your God. It reminds you that no enemy, no hardship, no uncertainty is stronger than the one who walks beside you. So let your faith rise. Let trust in God become your stronghold. Because fear might come knocking, but when your heart is rooted in Him, it won't find a place to stay. Psalm 27 calls us to a deep and steady trust, especially in the face of hardship. Life is full of trials. Some we see coming, others hit us like a midnight storm. There are times when it seems like everything is working against us, when every obstacle feels too great, and when the enemy whispers, "You won't survive this one." But this psalm wasn't written for those with an easy road. It was written for warriors in the middle of the fight, for people facing battles beyond their own strength, for those who need something solid to stand on when the world beneath them shakes. David writes, "Though an army camp around me, my heart will not fear. Though war rise up against me, still I will be confident." What kind of confidence is that? It's not wishful thinking or prideful self-reliance. It is a fierce, unshakable trust in the living God. David didn't pretend the battle wasn't real. He simply refused to let it define him. His faith in God was bigger than the threat before him. How do you respond when hardship strikes? When unexpected news disrupts your plans? When people turn their backs on you? when every path forward seems blocked? Do you give in to panic, or do you lean into the presence of God? Psalm 27 teaches us that trust is a deliberate decision. It means choosing to believe that even when the battle is fierce, God is still in control. It's choosing to remember that no circumstance is greater than His power. Each morning you are faced with a choice. Will you walk into the day with fear or with faith? Will you allow trials to pull you away from God or draw you closer to Him? Psalm 27 reminds us that trust doesn't rely on what we can see. It rests in who God is. And He is trustworthy. He is mighty. He is the unshakable refuge that will never fall apart. So when trouble comes, don't run. Stand your ground. When the enemy closes in, don't surrender to fear. Lift your eyes to the one who defends you. Because when you place your trust in the Lord, even in the thick of adversity, you will remain unshaken. This psalm also reminds us of something deeply comforting. We are never truly alone. Life includes moments when we feel deserted, even by those closest to us. We face inner battles no one else can see, burdens that quietly weigh us down, and fears that whisper in the stillness. But Psalm 27 speaks a profound truth. Even if everyone else turns away, God's faithfulness holds firm. David writes in verse 10, "Though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will take me in." Pause and reflect on that. Parental love is one of the strongest known to humanity, and yet David understood that even if those foundational bonds failed him, God would not. His presence never fades. His love never wavers. His faithfulness is never in doubt. Loneliness is one of the enemy's most effective tactics. He wants you to feel forgotten, invisible, and cut off. He wants to convince you that no one notices or cares about your pain. But Psalm 27 tears that lie to pieces. It affirms that even in your lowest valley, you are not alone. The Creator of the heavens stands with you. The Lord of all walks beside you. You may feel misunderstood, but God sees every tear. You may feel like you're fighting your battles alone, but God is already going ahead of you. You may feel pushed aside by others, but you are handpicked by Him. His presence isn't determined by your emotions. It's grounded in His everlasting promise. So when you rise in the morning, remind yourself of this unshakable truth. I am never alone. Before the world begins to whisper doubt into your soul, let Psalm 27 declare faith. Before fear convinces you that you've been forgotten, let God's word assure you that you belong to Him. No matter who leaves, who misunderstands you, or how isolated the path may feel, the Lord will welcome you in, and that is more than enough. Each morning we're faced with choices. The world pulls at us the moment we open our eyes. Notifications ping, messages await, yesterday's concerns creep back into our thoughts, and our minds race toward everything demanding our attention. But Psalm 27 urges us to pause and seek God before all else. David wrote in verse 4, "One thing have I asked of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze upon the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in His temple." Notice what David longed for. He didn't ask for success, wealth, or comfort. He asked for one thing: to be close to God. Above everything else, he desired to remain in God's presence. He understood that nothing this world offers could ever satisfy the longing in his soul like the nearness of the Lord. Imagine how different our lives might look if we treated that as our top priority. Instead of grabbing our phones first thing, what if we reached for Scripture? Instead of letting our thoughts be filled with noise and distractions, what if we filled them with God's truth? Instead of starting our day in worry, what if we began it in surrender? Seeking God first doesn't mean neglecting your responsibilities. It means building your life on Him before doing anything else. It's recognizing that no level of planning, productivity, or control can replace the peace and clarity that flow from His presence. Psalm 27 invites us to adjust our focus. When God comes first, our entire perspective shifts. We don't enter the day overwhelmed. We step in with confidence. We don't respond to problem with panic. We answer with faith. We don't chase temporary things. We pursue the one who is eternal. So let this be the prayer that begins each day. Lord, before anything else, I seek you. Before I choose my path, I seek your direction. Before I face the world, I rest in you. Because when your day starts with Him, everything else finds its rightful place. We live in a culture that constantly encourages us to depend on ourselves. The world promotes self-reliance, pushing through hardship with determination, and standing tall in our own strength. But if we're truly honest, we all encounter moments when our strength runs out. We find ourselves at the limit of our endurance, facing problems too complex to solve, burdens too heavy to carry, and battles too intense to fight on our own. That's what makes Psalm 27 so impactful. It shifts our focus from ourselves and back to the Lord, the only true and lasting source of strength. David writes in verse 1, "The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid?" A stronghold is a place of protection, a shelter, a secure refuge where the enemy can't break in. David wasn't bragging about his own power. He was declaring that his strength came directly from God. He had fought off lions and bears while tending sheep, faced Goliath with nothing but a sling, and fled for his life from King Saul. But through every trial, David understood that his might wasn't in his weapons, his abilities, or his intellect. It was in God's abiding presence. How often do we try to navigate life's battles on our own terms? How many times do we carry the weight of our problems alone, drained and weary? Psalm 27 reminds us we don't have to live that way. The same God who carried David through every trial still carries us today. The same God who gave him strength in the wilderness offers us strength in our weakness. So when you rise in the morning, don't step into your day relying on your own effort. Step into it trusting in the Lord. Don't lean on your own understanding. Lean on His wisdom. Don't bear the pressure of the world alone. Place it in His capable hands. Because when the Lord is your refuge, fear loses its grip. When He is your strength, you will stand firm. And when He is your source, you will have all you need to face whatever the day brings. There is a deep longing in every human soul, a desire that nothing in this world can completely satisfy. People chase after money, fame, relationships, and pleasure, hoping these things will cure the emptiness inside. But no matter what we gain, there's always a hunger that remains, an ache that only God can fill. Psalm 27 shows us the answer to that ache. It's found in God's presence. David writes in verse 4, "One thing have I asked of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze upon the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in his temple. Take a moment to notice what David is expressing here. He was a warrior, a king, a man who had experienced many great victories, but above all else, what he longed for most was to be near God. He didn't just seek protection, achievement, or favor. He deeply desired the presence of the Lord. What about us? Do we start each day with that same longing? Or do we rush into our routines, filling every moment with everything except God? The truth is, we were made for his presence. That's where real peace lives. That's where joy is revived. That's where our deepest desires are truly fulfilled. Dwelling in God's presence doesn't mean retreating to a church building or isolating ourselves from life. It means walking in ongoing relationship with him, putting him first in all things and making him the center of our hearts. It means beginning each morning by saying, Lord, more than anything else, I want to know you today. The world is full of short-lived distractions, but only God offers lasting satisfaction. The more we draw near to him, the more we realize he is the treasure our souls have been searching for all along. So let this be your daily prayer. Lord, let me live in your presence. Let me behold your beauty. Let me walk closely with you today. Because in his presence, every true need of the soul is met. None of us are immune to hardship. Life throws challenges our way, whether through loss, financial pressure, broken relationships, illness, or spiritual battles that wear us down. There are seasons when life's storms feel constant, when we feel exposed and fragile, yearning for a safe place to land. But Psalm 27 offers a profound promise. God himself is our shelter and hiding place in the midst of trouble. David proclaims in verse 5, "For he will hide me in his shelter in the day of trouble. He will conceal me under the cover of his tent. He will lift me high upon a rock." These are not just poetic words. They are the lived testimony of a man who had walked through fire and witnessed God's faithfulness firsthand. David had run for his life, slept in caves, and faced enemies determined to take him down. Yet through every trial, he knew his true refuge wasn't found in a fortress of stone or in military power. It was found in the presence of the Almighty. We too need a place of refuge when life overwhelms us. And that place is not in our own strength, nor in worldly comforts or distractions. It is in God alone. He is our covering when anxiety creeps in. He is our secret place when fear surrounds us. He lifts us above the crashing waves when life threatens to pull us under. But here's what matters most. We must choose to run to him. A shelter can only protect those who step inside. A fortress can only defend those who seek refuge within its walls. This is why it's essential to begin each day by placing ourselves under his protection. Before we engage with the world, we must take refuge in his word, stand on his promises, and rest in his presence. So when trials come, don't remain exposed in the storm. Run to the one who offers true shelter. When fear starts to close in, don't face it on your own. Allow God to cover you beneath the shadow of his wings. Because in him you are safe, guarded, and lifted above the chaos. We live in a culture that idolizes speed. We want quick fixes, immediate answers, and instant blessings. But God doesn't follow our timelines. His ways are higher than ours, and His timing is always flawless. That's why Psalm 27 ends with this profound command: wait for the Lord. Be strong and let your heart take courage. Wait for the Lord. Waiting is rarely easy. It can feel discouraging, even painful, when the answers to our prayers don't come right away. We plead with God for healing, for breakthrough, for guidance. And sometimes His answer isn't yes or no, but simply wait. And in those quiet, stretching seasons, the enemy whispers lies. Has God forgotten you? Does He still care? Will He ever come through for you? But Psalm 27 reassures us. Waiting is never wasted. It's a time of building strength, deepening our faith, and preparing us for what's ahead. David knew this well. Though he was anointed as king in his youth, he spent many years fleeing from Saul before he ever sat on the throne. He understood what it meant to wait for God's promise to unfold. And throughout the delays, the trials, and the long seasons of uncertainty, David learned to trust that God was working, even when nothing seemed to be changing. Waiting on God doesn't mean doing nothing. It means choosing to trust Him while you wait. It's continuing to pray even when the answer hasn't come. It's choosing faith over frustration, praise over panic, and surrender over striving. It's believing wholeheartedly that God is still good even in the delay. So if you're in a season of waiting, don't give up. Don't let impatience drive you toward your own solutions. Instead, let your heart be strengthened in the Lord. Cling to His promises. Keep seeking Him. Keep trusting. Because those who wait on the Lord will never be disappointed. And when the time is right, He will respond. He will act. He will fulfill every word He has spoken over your life. Life is a battleground. Each day we face conflicts, some outward, others within. We battle discouragement, temptation, fear, and the overwhelming pressures of life. At times, it feels as though we're boxed in with no way forward. But Psalm 27 reminds us of this truth. Our victory doesn't come from our own strength. It comes through trusting in the Lord. David writes in verse 6, "And now my head shall be lifted up above my enemies all around me, and I will offer in His tent sacrifices with shouts of joy. I will sing and make melody to the Lord." Take note of the confidence behind his words. He doesn't say, maybe I'll make it, or hopefully I'll come through this. No, he speaks with assurance that God will raise him up, that he will overcome, and his response will be worship. This isn't wishful thinking, it's faith. It's the kind of unwavering trust that believes the victory is already won, even before the battle begins. It's the certainty that says, no matter what I see, no matter how fierce the fight, I belong to the Lord, and He will see me through. Too often we step into life already feeling defeated. We allow fear to convince us that the challenge is too great. We let past disappointments tell us we're not strong enough. But Psalm 27 invites us to lift our eyes and remember who goes before us. If God is on our side, who can stand against us? If He has already promised us the victory, why should we be paralyzed by fear? Victory doesn't mean we'll never face hardship. It means we know who stands with us in the middle of it. It means we keep moving forward in faith, confident that God has already prepared the way. It means we choose to worship before we see the breakthrough, to praise before the answer arrives, and to remain unshaken even when the enemy tries to intimidate us. So today, whatever resistance you're facing, echo David's declaration, "My head shall be lifted up," not because you're strong enough, but because He is. Not because you know how it will all work out, but because you trust the one who does. And when that victory comes, and it will come, your response will be praise. Because you'll know it wasn't your own strength that brought you through, it was the Lord fighting on your behalf the whole time. Fear is a thief. It robs you of joy, weakens your faith, and holds you back from fully stepping into God's purpose for your life. It whispers lies, amplifies your struggles, and tries to convince you that you're facing them alone. But Psalm 27 opens with a bold declaration that silences fear before it speaks. "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" Light and darkness cannot share the same space. When light breaks in, darkness vanishes. And that's exactly what happens when we walk with God. His presence drives fear away. David understood this. He had been hunted by enemies, betrayed by people he trusted, and surrounded by danger. Yet he still declared with boldness, "Whom shall I fear?" Not because the threats weren't real, but because his God was greater. And what about you? What fears are standing in your way today? Fear of the unknown, fear of falling short, fear of being rejected, fear of what's ahead. Whatever it may be, it cannot remain where God's presence dwells. The moment you choose to trust Him, His light reveals fear for what it truly is, an empty illusion with no real power over a child of God. But here's the key. You must remain in the light. You must make a daily choice to fill your thoughts with His truth instead of entertaining the lies of the enemy. Every morning begin with this declaration: "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Fear has no authority over me." So the next time fear starts to rise in your heart, remind yourself of this unchanging truth. The same God who stood with David stands with you. The same light that led him will lead you. When God is your light, darkness cannot remain. Walk with courage, walk in full assurance, because the Lord is your salvation. Whom shall you fear? There are seasons in life when we question if God is listening. We pray, yet the answers feel delayed. We cry out, but heaven seems silent. Doubts begin to creep in. Is God really listening? Does He notice what I'm facing? But Psalm 27 brings us a promise that can calm every doubt. God doesn't just hear our cries, He responds to them. David writes in verse 7, "Hear, O Lord, when I cry aloud, be gracious to me and answer me." This isn't a detached or routine prayer. This is the heartfelt cry of someone who knows that only God can intervene. David understood something deeply powerful. God hears the voices of His children. Consider this, David, a king, a warrior, a man after God's own heart, still humbled himself and cried out to the Lord. He wasn't embarrassed to bring his needs before God. He didn't pretend he could manage everything alone. He knew the most powerful thing he could do was to lift his voice in honest prayer. How often do we try to carry our burdens in silence? How many times do we shoulder weights that God never asked us to bear alone? Psalm 27 reminds us that we don't have to do that. When we call out to the Lord, He listens. When we cry out, He moves on our behalf. God may not answer in the way we imagined or on the timeline we expected, but He is never indifferent to our prayer. Let this be your confidence today. God hears you. Hears every whispered plea, every honest cry, every heavy sigh from the depth of your heart. And because He hears, you can trust that He's already at work. You might not see the results yet, but behind the scene, He is moving. His timing is flawless, and His answers are always filled with goodness. So don't stop lifting your voice. Don't stop seeking His face. Keep praying, keep asking, keep believing, because the God who listened to David listens to you too, and He is always faithful to respond. One of the most profound fears a person can experience is the fear of being left behind. Whether it's the ache of rejection, the grief of losing someone we love, or the isolation that settles in during hard seasons, we all yearn for the assurance that we are not alone. Yet Psalm 27 offers a promise that holds steady even when everything else in life feels uncertain. David writes in verse 10, "For my father and my mother have forsaken me, but the Lord will take me in." Reflect on that. Even if those dearest to us were to walk away, God never will. His love doesn't come with conditions. His presence isn't temporary. He's not like people who may fail us, let us down, or walk away. He is constant, unchanging yesterday, today, and forever. David understood the pain of abandonment. He was chased by enemies, betrayed by those he trusted, and even misunderstood by his own family. Still, through it all, he clung to this truth: God never left him. And that same promise is true for you. Maybe you felt overlooked. Maybe you've endured seasons where you questioned if anyone truly cared. Perhaps you've even wondered if God had turned His face away. But the message of Psalm 27 is this: God is still with you. He has not forgotten you, and He never will. When life feels heavy, when relationships fall apart, when loneliness starts to settle in, hold tightly to this truth: the Lord will take me in. People may fail you. Circumstances may shift, but God is steadfast. His love never changes, and His faithfulness never fails. So no matter what you're facing today, be encouraged. You are not alone. The same God who walked beside David walks with you now. The same God who was faithful then is faithful still, and He will never, ever abandon His children. Hope is a powerful force. It brings strength in the middle of trials, light in seasons of darkness, and perseverance when everything feels too much. But here's the real question: where is your hope anchored? If your hope is placed in people, they may let you down. If it's in wealth, it can disappear. If it's in your circumstances, they are bound to change. But Psalm 27 points us to the only secure place to put our hope: in the God who never fails. David declares in verse 13, "I believe that I shall look upon the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living." Look at the certainty in his voice. He wasn't just wishing for something vague or far off. He fully believed he would experience God's goodness right here in his lifetime. David's hope wasn't built on fleeting feelings or ever-changing circumstances. It was rooted in the unchanging nature of God. And that same hope is available to you today. No matter what obstacles we encounter, no matter how long the struggle may last, we can stand with confidence knowing that God's goodness is not some far-off hope. It's a present reality for those who put their trust in Him. But here's the truth. We have to choose to believe it. David declares, I believe that I shall see. Faith isn't just about having hope when everything is going smoothly. It's about holding on to God's promises when the path is rough. It's about boldly saying, I will witness His goodness even before the breakthrough appears. So today, lift your eyes. Don't let discouragement take hold. Stand firm on the truth that your God is good, that He is orchestrating all things for your benefit, and that your future is safe in His hands. The world may shift and shake, but your hope in Him is immovable. Keep holding on. Keep believing. Just as David proclaimed, you will see the goodness of the Lord in your life. Psalm 27 is not just poetic scripture. It is a proclamation of faith, a vivid reminder of God's nearness and a steady anchor for your soul. It encourages us to begin each day not with fear or self-reliance, but with trust in the Lord. It invites us to pursue His presence, lean on His protection, and stand secure in the truth that He will never leave us. It reminds us that fear cannot dwell where God's light shines, that every cry we make is heard by Him, and that His timing is always right, even when it feels delayed. So as you step into a new day, let Psalm 27 be the rock you build on. When fear tries to whisper lies, declare with confidence, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? When life feels like too much, remember, He will hide me in His shelter on the day of trouble. When you feel like giving up, hold tightly to this. I believe that I will see the goodness of the Lord. You are never alone. You have not been forgotten. You are never without hope. The same God who was faithful to David is faithful to you. So move forward in faith, trusting that your victory, your strength, and your future are firmly held in His hand. Wait on the Lord, stand on His promises, and above all, keep seeking Him always.
I see you laughing from across the street. Your light's a rhythm my heart can't beat. You don't know how you shine in my skies, yet every glance feels like a silent goodbye. Keep my words where no one hears, behind a smile, behind the years. You walk through dreams you'll never know, while I fade into the undertow. And I rehearse the things I'd say, but courage always slips away. You look right past, and that's okay. I've learned to love the quiet way. Only from afar I hold you near, in stolen moments crystal clear. You're the song I'll never play, the dawn that always slips away. Only from afar I write your name, a love that burns without a flame. You asked me once if I believe in fate. I'm not pretending it's not too late. But even fate can lose its way when hearts like mine don't know what to say. So I collect the little signs like echoes lost between the lines. You'll never know what you became, a quiet fire I cannot tame. Only from afar I hold you near, in silent wishes, year by year. You're the dream I never chase, the face I can't begin to face. Only from afar I write your name, a love that burns without a flame. If love is meant to find its path, why do I stay behind the glass? You shine so bright, but not for me, and still I watch so carefully. Only from afar I set you free, a love that lives inside of me. You're the truth I'll never share, but I'll always find you everywhere. Only from afar, that's where I love you best.
I stood on the edge of the quieted plain, where the grass still knew your name, and the wind in secret spirals spun whispers of where you'd gone. I held my breath like it held your scent in the folds of a sky half bent. The trees leaned close but did not speak. They only sighed like me. So I called a wind by name, hoping it had heard the same stories that we left behind, scattered in the amber time. If it finds you on its flight, your name into the fray. Still I call the wind by name, even when it feels the same. Empty hands and breathless skies, still chasing old goodbyes. And if it finds you in some land where silence cups your hand, maybe you'll hear my voice in air, still calling, always there.
Your face in fragments, painted blue. In circus I still dream of you. Soft data drips across my skin. I feel you hum beneath my chin. You say my name in pixel light, a pulse between the day and night. Holographic heartbeats glowing in the dark. Every touch a trick, every breath a spark. In the noise I find you, coded but alive. Our love's a simulation that refuses to die. Refuses to die. Your shadow moves through binary rain. 1,000 volts inside my veins. I chase your ghost through laser skies. The cold remembers how you smile. You fade but never disappear. Your echo lives inside my ear. Holographic heartbeats glowing in the dark. Every touch electric, every breath a spark. In the noise I find you, coded but alive. Our love's a simulation that refuses to die. Refuses to die. Every bite, a memory burning slow. Every glitch, a place we used to go. You're gone, but still you glow in the pulse beneath my soul. Holographic heartbeats beating out of time. You're the ghost that feels divine. Even when the world shuts down tonight, I'll still see your light, my holographic light.